1966 was an interesting year for filmmaking. Hollywood was still bound by the outdated Hays Code, which meant that there was a long list of themes and topics that movies couldn't talk about.
We must be on the lookout for scenes or action or dialogue which are likely to give offense. The responsible men in this industry want no such pictures and will not allow these to be shown.
The studios were on the verge of collapse due to the rise of television and failure to tell stories that connected with modern audiences.
Television had annihilated the habit audience for movies, and studios were impoverished.
The Fox lot, the first Hollywood lot I ever saw, had been shut down by the disaster of Cleopatra. And so walking on the Fox lot, it was really a ghost town. It had the back lot, which is now Century City. It had the streets, the western streets, the stages all set up, but it was all deserted.
At this time, 20th Century Fox needed a hit, so they purchased the rights to the best-selling novel that year, Jacqueline Susann's Valley of the Dolls.
It was a great book.
It was a fantastic book. I thought it was rather unpleasant, but I couldn't stop reading it.
The book chronicles the rise and fall of three young women in show business, and it was an open secret that the characters depicted were based on real people and real events from Jacqueline's time in Hollywood.
I've grown up with show business. I've seen people come starry-eyed, and I've seen them hope to climb Mount Everest, as I call it, which is the top. And I've seen many of them go into the Valley of the Dolls.
Valley of the Dolls gave people a glimpse into the private lives of celebrities in a time before tabloids.
Now you call this acting?
When this movie came out, we didn't have the tabloids. We didn't have People magazine. We had actors who would go on Johnny Carson and Mike Douglas and talk about their little stories and their lives. And this really peeled back the layers.
This way, Miss O'Hara. Another one, please. This way, please. Ted Casablanca.
With the collapse of the production code that year, the script included topics that were normally not tackled by popular culture, like drug addiction, sex before marriage, pornography, and abortions.
Boobies, boobies, boobies. Nothing but boobies. Who needs them?
Patty Duke was cast as Neely O'Hara. Patty had just finished 3 seasons of The Patty Duke Show, where she played identical teenage cousins with opposite personalities.
They're cousins, identical cousins all the way. One pair of matching bouquets, different as night and day.
She needed Valley of the Dolls to be the vehicle to transition her from child actor to leading lady. Barbara Perkins was cast as Ann Wells. At the time, she was the most on-demand actress in Hollywood after her success in the television show Peyton Place.
You see, I know Mr. Peyton sent you a check each month. I'm sure that the estate will continue with that policy.
She was already under contract by Fox and wanted to be in the movie.
I want to be tested for Valley of the Dolls. And there was this pause, and I thought, if I'm not going to go back to work on Peyton Place. And I said, today, because I scared myself that I'd kind of made a demand, you know. And so I thought, well, today kind of would bring it down and soften it. And I stood there and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be fired. And I waited, and he kind of looked up to me and he said, I'll look into it. He said, today. And about an hour later, one of the secretaries came down to me, delivered me this manila envelope, and it was the Neely O'Hara test scene.
Jennifer North was played by Rachel Welch, but she turned it down because she feared the role would typecast her as a sex bot. So newcomer Sharon Tate was cast for the role.
Mother, I know I don't have any talent, and I know all I have is a body, and I am doing my bust exercises.
We're talking to Miss Sharon Tate, and we're aboard the Princess Italia after the premiere of Valley of the Dolls. And may we offer our congratulations. I guess this is your first major dramatic role. The part calls for someone who is beautiful as well as talented. And can you tell us how one gets in the mood to do something as daring as the disrobing you do in the film? There, I said it.
Well, I don't think there's any mood. I think if you try to prepare yourself, you fall flat on your face.
Face?
Yeah.
At age 44, Judy Garland was ready for a comeback. She was casted as Helen Lawson.
I don't think any actress could get a better role. I think there's a good chance to sing one song, and yet I don't have to depend upon singing. I like to act too, so I think it's going to be good. I hope I'm good in it.
The book deals with pills to some extent. Have you found that prevalent around show business people?
Well, I find it prevalent around newspaper people too.
But when production began, it was clear that Judy was still battling with drug addiction and mental health problems.
There were gentlemen around her who supplied her with wine and other things. And so when she finally did get called to the set, she couldn't function very well.
She was fired from the film shortly after production began and walked away with the character's wardrobe as revenge.
About 6 months later, Judy's going to open at the Palace. And out she came in her suit from Valley of the Dolls.
Susan Hayward replaced her as Helen Lawson.
The only hit that comes out of a Helen Lawson show is Helen Lawson. And that's me, baby, remember?
Everyone from the studio to the actors needed this movie to be a hit. There was a lot riding on it, and this led to a very tense work environment with a lot of fighting on set, especially between Patty Duke and the director.
There's an intensity that Patty Duke has in this movie that is supposedly provoked by the director, according to what I've heard. And it almost feels like the director was out to get her, in a sense. In a sense. She's so big.
Don't mind me, go right ahead.
Neely catches her not-so-gay husband in the pool with another woman.
All right, faggot. Start explaining.
And she literally goes from 0 to 9. It's like you can barely understand a word she's saying.
You've got guts. I catch you red-handed
With a naked broad in my pool.
and you sermonize me.
It's literally that ridiculous.
I think she's a phenomenal actress, but I feel in Valley of the Dolls, sometimes she was amazing and she just filled the whole screen. And other times, to me, it didn't work.
The cast quickly lost confidence with the director. Mark Robinson directed in the style of the old Hollywood system, which is very different from how we see directors today. His job was only to make sure that the actors hit their mark and read the lines correctly.
The director never took us aside and said, look, this is the effect, what you go through. I acted like I'd had, too much drink and did, wander down to the ocean and fell into the water, He didn't talk to us about it. We didn't go into depth about it, Now, if you'd have had a Martin Scorsese come in and direct this film, he would have sat you down, he would have put you through the whole emotional, physical, mental feeling of what that drug was doing to you.
Sure, I take Dolls. I gotta get some sleep. I gotta get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sparkle, Neely, sparkle.
On November 14, Valley of the Dolls premiered. The movie became the top-grossing movie of 1967. The film grossed $50 million against a $5 million budget. Despite the success from the film, almost everybody wanted to distance themselves from it.
Last year, I saw it on the big screen. The only good thing was I didn't have any wrinkles.
The critics were not kind. Roger Ebert called it a dirty soap opera capable of the most offensive and appalling vulgarity ever thrown up by a civilization.
I wouldn't pay any attention to that. You know how bitchy fags can be.
Since then, the movie has found a cult following.
I didn't know that Valley of the Dolls had this phenomenal following. I thought, it's fine, it's gone away. They had celebrated the anniversary of the movie, and they were going to have an event the evening, which I was guest of honor. As they introduced me, and as I started walking down the corridor up to the steps, I was overwhelmed. For me, it's been a great journey. I'm so proud of it.
Valley of the Dolls is a strange Frankenstein's monster of a movie, with elements from the old glamorized Hollywood and the gritty realism of new Hollywood. There's something very strange yet captivating about the movie. Even 50 years later, Valley of the Dolls still sparkles.